an elected official, black woman, black councilwoman. Well, she gets a knock on the door and an individual decides to racially taunt her. Let's put up the picture full mask. Police chief got something to say about this as well. This happened in Michigan. So bigots show up at the black councilwoman's door. Authorities say they have identified the two white individuals who visited this council member's home and pointed a photo of an ape at her doorbell. This was all caught on the doorbell camera. According to Ann Arbor Police, two white males approached Councilwoman Cynthia Harrison's home July 16th at 8 p.m. and repeatedly knocked on the door and rang the doorbell. The pair activated the Ring camera doorbell, and one of them displayed a picture of an ape on his phone. They also said one of the homeowners' names as they stood by the front door. The strangers waited at Harrison's front door for around 5 minutes. When no one answered, they drove away in a gray minivan. With millions watching and many people benefiting from this program called Indisputable, we just need 1% of the viewers to become a paid member so we can continue to bring this content to you. Now back to the show. Harrison told CBS Detroit that she and her husband were sleeping when they heard the knocks and the doorbell ring. They weren't expecting any visitors. And when they checked her doorbell camera, she saw the photo of the ape. Quote, "I've never really heard anyone knock at my door with such ferocity," Harrison said. Quote, "My heart is beating literally out of my chest, and I'm trying to process what had happened. And I see two individuals that I don't recognize." She told the police she didn't know the individuals and had no idea why they would visit her home. So the incident happened just a day after Harrison and her fellow council members approved a resolution to bolster hate crime training for law enforcement and ensure police receive up-to-date guidance with a focus on proactive measures to prevent and respond to hate crimes. Anderson said there's no proof at this point to determine whether these individuals' actions are connected to the hate crime resolution. Harrison believes it was a racist attempt to intimidate her and her family. Now, before I go to the police chief, understand this would be a hell of a coincidence if not connected. So I do believe, obviously, there's a direct connection here, a correlation. One, the incident itself isn't something that happens. And to have it happen within 24 hours after a hate crime resolution is passed by her with her leadership and council, well, you see the writing on the wall. So let's go to the police chief. So Ann Arbor Police Chief Andre Anderson said in a statement, quote, "You see, that is something that shouldn't happen in this day and age. And as the police chief, I found it as disturbing. These actions were deliberate, as one of the assailants could explicitly be heard mentioning the African-American male homeowner's name as he displayed the photo of the ape." So they did a little bit of research. Anderson said, so investigators have not released the identities of both individuals, but said both don't live in Harrison's neighborhood. One was an adult. At some point, we will get the information over to our prosecutors as well as those that were charged in this particular incident and allow them to make the decision, Anderson said. Let's do this. I know somebody in Ann Arbor knows who the adult was. I'm not concerned about the juvenile. If the juvenile was involved, I would not show the face anyway. But the adult is fair game. Why the local police have decided to withhold the identity of the individual involved who is an adult, I do not know. Typically, this is not standard protocol when there's an actual suspect or positive identification, especially if you do not have them in custody so that people can be alerted. This individual, well, they need to come to the station for questioning, or perhaps they have a warrant for their arrest. So if there's somebody in the local area, if you know who the person is, make sure you send it to us at Indisputable. I will post it appropriately. All right, hell of a thing, Jackson. But once again, boldness. They're not trying to hide who they are. They drove up in their mama's minivan, more than likely, and wanted to send a message, probably because they heard police talk about it and not like the new resolution.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's pretty safe to assume the correlation between the passing of the hate crime resolution and them doing this. But also, I think it's clear that, this DEI rhetoric and what's going on with Kamala, and we'll talk a little bit about that next. But all of that is definitely not helping with people's general attitudes and what's happening to the country, with the country. The constant rhetoric of this is our last chance to take our country back, to save our country, to take it back from the Browns and the Black people and the gay people and all of that good stuff. So all of that really just spiraling into this action,
Yeah.
just a reflection of the culture we're in right now.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I got to say this, when Trump had his ear nipped by the bullet, I didn't see one damn MAGA supporter jump on that stage. It was all government employees.